All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Brandon Miller, and I'm one of the co-developers of Demand Genie. And today I'm going to be showing you sort of a beta version or an early version of what we'll be releasing next month. So just please note that some features might change or things might look a little bit different in the final version. So when you load the window, this is the main interface you'll see. And this is a pop-up that will ask you if you want to proceed to the optional tutorial. And so note that this will open every single time you open the program. If you're a returning user, you're familiar, you can feel free to click no to skip this. But otherwise, and especially for demonstration purposes today, we're going to hit yes to proceed to the tutorial. The first page just tells you the purpose of this and that we support only up to 40 prices and 1,200 participants currently. This might be expanded in the future, but for now we felt this was a sufficient number. At any time you can click no to go back to the previous step or hit the X to cancel out. Yes will just advance you to the next page. So it's going to tell you to paste your demand data or your consumption data into cell F11. Note that this isn't the typical Excel spreadsheet. We do have certain things hidden. So this is referring to this first white cell below the green price row. And so it tells you that here as well. And we also want to make sure that our data are formatted going across, meaning that each row is an individual participant and each column represents consumption across participants at a given price. We may have an option to run this in a different format in the future, but again, for now, that's what we have. Once you're ready to go, you can click this Run button to begin the data analysis. And so one thing we want to point out is that this doesn't run on formulas. And so if you make changes or delete participant data or modify consumption values, it's not going to automatically update it. You're going to have to rerun the program or click this Run button each time you make a modification. If for whatever reason you want to wipe your output table, so notice the data summary at the aggregate level here on the left, and there's also an individual summary that you can't see at the moment off to the right. You'll see very shortly once we finish the tutorial. You can use the clear button to wipe your output, which is right up here. Reset is going to basically reformat the program back to its sort of initial state. So this will clear all of the consumption values, all the participant IDs, the prices, as well as your output. If you make a mistake or something goes wrong, you can always use this as well. We run with the default values for the Stein criteria. You're free to change these if you want using this settings window. For whatever reason, if you're not familiar with the article or you make a mistake and you change something and you want to go back, you can always hit this default button to restore all of the settings, including the Stein criteria, back to their default settings. We're not saying that the default is the best. This is just what we have currently set as the default. So always make sure to check best practices before making a decision with data analysis. But we wanted to give you the flexibility to run things how you would like to do them. As I mentioned before, you're going to have to rerun the analysis anytime you make modifications. And this is just explaining what those buttons do as well. And so that's it. We finished our tutorial nice and short. If you ever want to watch this again, just reopen the program and you can launch the tutorial again. All right, so here is our aggregate level output table. So you'll notice all of our data is going to be displayed here. We'll see data quality, meaning what is systematic and what is non-systematic, all of our demand indices as well, and our price summary at each of the prices, which will update depending on which prices we use. Our settings window is up at the top here. And then if we scroll over, we'll notice our individual data summary as well. So this is where you can see for each participant, it'll make more sense in a minute once we actually analyze some data, all of the output. You can ignore this unhide button. This is sort of a developer tool for us right now. If we need to make programming changes, this won't be in the final version. So this is a file that you'll receive in the zipped file when you download Demand Genie, and a zipped folder, excuse me. And so this is based on a study that we published in 2024. And so there's 4 cannabis demand sets here. I'm just going to go ahead and use this first one. It's formatted already in an easy to use way for Demand Genie. So I'll go ahead and copy our prices, paste those in. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy our consumption values as well. This article is open access, so if you're curious what's going on, you're able to access that for free. Copy our consumption values. Fairly straightforward. Again, note that each individual row is a participant, so we'll want to make sure we get our participant IDs as well, which are conveniently right here for us already in this folder. And notice they've been formatted to a different color to make it easier to see them in some of this darker background. So this is our settings window. Currently we have two different equations. We have the Kafarnis and the Hirsch and Silverberg. We will plan to add more in the future, but for now this is what we have. Currently, I have these turned off, meaning that it's not going to calculate alpha or elasticity values. Just because it adds more to the runtime, it might take a couple minutes to actually calculate those values depending on how large your data set is. And so for a short tutorial like this, I have that turned off. If for whatever reason you want to calculate alpha in a different tool, this might be a feature. We're going to include a button or a checked box. So if you don't want to calculate alpha and you sort of want immediate answers to maybe data quality for Stein, or you just want your demand indices excluding alpha and R squared, you can save yourself some time. Defaults do have the standard trend and bounce cutoffs for Stein, but you can choose from some options we have here as well, if for whatever reason you'd like to modify those. We have numerous options for how we treat zeros. Notice this is in the consumption table, not in prices. It's going to automatically change the first price value, since free technically can't be used. So this is excluding for that. Currently we go from 0.9 all the way to 0.001, but we will plan to include options to just leave zeros as is, and as well as excluding zeros altogether. So again, just giving you all of the choices that you would like with these. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit run now. Notice very quickly when we're not calculating alpha, it's going to give you a nice pop-up, say analysis complete, your data has been analyzed successfully. And you'll see for each participant, for this first participant, for example, they passed all of the Stein criteria. But let's look at this person who failed, right? And so notice they failed the trend criterion. So it's flagging 1, meaning there was 1 failed criterion. We have added a way to identify special zero slope cases. So 2 of these we've coined as all zero and all same. And what this means is essentially flat consumption. So all zero meaning they put 0 at every price, they're not going to consume regardless of the contingency, or all same. Maybe they're going to take 10 hits of a joint regardless of the price. And so we have an ID here. And so right now, before even seeing the consumption data, I know that this person reported consumption, but not all 0. And so if we go over to row 13 here, yes, they put 2 for every single price here. We tend to include patterns like these in some of our data sets. It's up to you if you'd like to do that. Again, we just build the tools to show you some certain special cases, but leave that decision to you on whether or not you include them in your final analysis. If you did want to exclude this participant's data, even though it's being flagged as all same, you're free to do that. You just have to make sure you manually delete their ID and their consumption values for that row, because you'll notice that these aggregates are based on participants that failed. So that's something to keep in mind. So what I mean by that is we're showing 94% of people passed trend and 100% of people passed bounce. So the N is 74. 74 out of 79 people passed trend, but these N's are including those 5 people that failed trend, right? So this mean intensity, mean Omax, if you're going to drop these participants, is going to be skewed by that. So you need to make sure you remove those participants if that's the method that you choose. This is the aggregate level. So you can see the mean index for intensity, Omax, Pmax, both breakpoint 0 and breakpoint 1. You'll see your K value as well as your alpha and R squared if you choose to run those analyses. And we have a median alpha as well. This is the price summary. So this just shows you the specific means at each price and standard deviation. And as noted before, this will update depending on the prices that you choose to use. That's for the most part it. You'll notice, again, those individual level observed indices and individual alphas and R squared. There's some extra stuff out here that's used for alpha calculations. We haven't decided if we're going to lock that out or just warn users not to mess with sort of the cells out there. But for now, just don't pay too much attention to that. And notice IDs are mirrored out here as well. So let's say I want to clear my output. I can hit this clear button. And it's going to keep my consumption values, but it's just going to wipe the output. And so we recommend doing this just so you're not confused if you make modifications to the consumption. That way you don't think that you're seeing live data summaries or output of those changes. Because again, that's not how this works. You're going to need to click this run button each and every time you want to make changes. That's all I have for today. And we're really excited to show you this, and we're really excited to be launching next month. And we hope you enjoy this tool as much as we have been.